Welcome back, everybody. Today we got an NFL trade candidate type of video. We got 12 guys that may have played their last snap on their current team going into the offseason. They could be moved before the NFL draft or after, but it's likely that these guys could be shipped off to a different team this offseason. And without further ado, please drop a comment in the comments below who you guys want to see traded the most to or from your team. And if you have the chance, please hit the subscribe before we get into it. And I would really appreciate it. So let's get it started here with number 12. It's going to be Mac Jones. I think he's worthy of another starting shot here. He played with San Francisco early in the season with Brock Purdy hurt. He kept this Niners team afloat with the defense honestly not playing very well. Yes, the schedule was a little bit easy for them during that stretch, but he was finding ways to win games with Kendrick Bourne, Juwan Jennings. Like, he didn't have a full allotment of receivers. George Kittle was also out during that time. So Mac Jones really put the Niners on his back, and I think that he's worthy of another shot in the NFL. It'll be interesting because there's a lot of QB openings, whether it's the Jets. The Raiders are going to probably take Mendoza, but you have teams like the Cardinals, the Dolphins, that could really use like a transition quarterback in this year. Or he could go to a place like Minnesota where they could kind of use him as competition with J.J. McCarthy. That would probably be my best prediction. And then if J.J. McCarthy still isn't it, then Kevin O'Connell can just pull the plug and know that he can win with Mac Jones. But he's definitely on the block as one of the quarterbacks to watch out for this offseason. And then going off of that, speaking of the Vikings, it's going to be Aaron Jones. He's already hit age 30 for a running back, which usually is the cliff, and Jordan Mason backed him up. Aaron Jones was never fully healthy this year, unfortunately, but Mason looks really good in his own short stints with the Vikings as the bell cow running back. He had a few bad fumbles, but outside of that, he's a good pure runner, and you can pretty much solve that running back room if they keep Jordan Mason and sign another running back or just draft like a day 2 or 3 running back. That's a good enough backfield to win in the NFL. So why not just let Aaron Jones let his wings fly to a championship type team and let him compete in the playoffs, especially if you don't think that you're going to be competing with J.J. McCarthy going into 2026. But he is someone to watch out for. Maybe the Chiefs make a splash and get Aaron Jones, a little savvy veteran that's great in the pass game as well as pass protection. So he is one of the running backs to watch out for. And then back to the Niners, it's going to be Brandon Ayuk, one of the messiest transitions from signing a contract extension last year and then all of a sudden got hurt and is just ghosted the whole front office and GM. It is just a terrible situation for Ayuk. I don't know when he'll be back onto the field and if he'll even be productive because we really haven't seen any tape of him looking or catching any practice balls because he's just simply ghosted the Niners for the past few months. So he's definitely going to get moved. Will they even get compensation for him is the question. I don't know who's wanting to take on that money that they signed him for. I know they were able to void some guarantees. But going into 2026, I don't know if Brandon Ayuk is anything more than just a wide receiver depth piece. But teams like the Steelers or other teams that could just use depth at the wide receiver position, it's worth a shot to just bring him in and see if he has any glimpse of his previous 2023 breakout campaign because the talent was definitely there. So if he's able to just kind of recapture some of that, you'd have a great value on your hands. And then going back to another wide receiver here, it's going to be DJ Moore. Obviously, he's catching a lot of slack for that play in the divisional round against the Rams, giving up on the route. But I don't even make that as why he's on this list. I think it's just from an organizational standpoint in the structure of their wide receiver room, it just doesn't make the most sense to keep him around. If you can get any value for him, I would definitely capitalize for draft picks. You got to win while your kind of quarterback is on this rookie deal. And DJ Moore is the old veteran in this really whole offense here. So I would just move forward with Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, Loveland. You have way more weapons than you need. So if you can get like a 3rd or 4th round pick for DJ Moore, I think you do it. And then really, I think Luther Burden can be a guy in 2026 that takes that next leap into a superstar. And DJ Moore on the back half of his career, and then all your young guys rising up. You want to give them more opportunities to shine in this Ben Johnson offense. So don't be surprised if they move off of DJ Moore's contract. And then we go to Chuba Hubbard, another guy that was a lot of buzz going into 2025 about another breakout year. They signed the contract extension, but if there was ever a time to get out of that, it's right now. Rico Dowdle absolutely exploded onto the scene in 2026, but is he going to stay around? That's the question. You're going to have to pick one or the other because you're going to have to pay Rico or Chuba, and I don't think you want both contracts on the books. So if they do go the route of paying Rico Dowdle, he clearly looked like the more physical, better running back in 2026. Was Chuba limited due to injury? We don't know, but it'll be interesting to see what the Panthers do because you're going to let one of these guys go, and you can definitely get value for Chuba if you trade him rather than just letting Rico go to free agency. So he could definitely be on the move. And then we got Jordan Addison back to the Vikings again here with another wide receiver. I know there was multiple teams like the Niners are already interesting making calls for Jordan Addison, which makes sense. He's a young upcoming wide receiver. He's had struggles off the field, which is a little bit concerning, but would not be shocked if he gets moved at the deadline just due to the fact that I'm not sure the Vikings are too optimistic for their outlook in 2026. I know you want to support this young quarterback with as many weapons as you can, but with Jalen Nailor as a free agent, I think they'll bring him back on a relatively cheap contract, and then you just kind of go with Jefferson, Nailor, and Hawkinson because Jordan Addison's at the point where it's like, do you play him or pay him at this point? So if you don't want to pay him big top dollar, you can probably capitalize on a third round pick to a team with a young quarterback wanting to develop that young wide receiver with him. But the time is coming to pay him, and if you want to just get out, now is the perfect time for Addison. And then at number 6, a guy that already cashed in his big money checks, it's going to be DK Metcalf coming off that $150 million contract. If the Pittsburgh Steelers can find any way to get him off this team, I would not be shocked. Aaron Rodgers likely not coming back for 2026. No Mike Tomlin. This is kind of the big reset for the Pittsburgh offense and overall team landscape. And I don't think DK Metcalf really proved too much in 2025 to say that he's a wide receiver 1 in this league anymore. So I would temper expectations for DK in 2026, but if another team wants to give him a different shot, I think they would be stupid to not opt to trade him. So they're definitely going to be making calls. Will they find a trade partner? I highly doubt it, but he is a guy to kind of watch where the rumors swirl this offseason. And then we got Tua Tagovailoa, another guy that seemingly got benched towards the end of the year. Yes, this was probably Mike McDaniel's doing, but I don't think you can go back to a guy that got benched. And it's clear that Tagovailoa could really use the fresh start. Similar path to Mac Jones in the sense that I think these offenses that are in the transition year, whether it's Cleveland, the Jets, the Cardinals, I think you could be big players for Tua. I think he's good enough to kind of control a team with a good defense and get them to like 10-7 or somewhere around there. So I wouldn't be fully counting out on Tua in 2026. I think he is capable of landing another starting job and maybe could compete for another starting job 2 or 3 years down the road. More than capable. So definitely watch out for Tua, the big sweepstakes this year. And then at number 4, another quarterback here. It's probably in the exact same situation. He got soft benched, in my opinion, for Jacoby Brissett. I'm not saying that his leg injury wasn't fully legit, but I think if he was fully healthy, he would have came back and been the starter. However, they just wanted to announce right away that Brissett was going to take him the rest of the way. So Kyler will be a name to watch. I think he's slightly more talented than Tua. I think he's been a product of a bad system with bad coaching all around. If you get him a good offensive coordinator, when he had Cliff Kingsbury, this offense looks very dynamic, and they actually started the year once 8-0, so I would definitely not count out Kyler Murray. I think he could bring some juice to an offense that would need it. I think the Jets are probably my favorite spot for him here. If they are able to recapture Breece Hall in free agency and Garrett Wilson, you can actually make a push here with 3 talented offensive speed on the offensive side of the ball and really make a run at this. But other than that, it's the same landing spots. He could go to Miami. It would be very funny if they just switched spots with Tua, which is pretty much almost likely at this point. I think him and Achane would be very interesting, but it'll be interesting to see where he lands. But Kyler Murray, in my opinion, isn't done yet. I think he still has a few more good, high-quality years left. But you're going to have to be willing to pay for it with his current contract situation. At number 3, we got BTJ, Brian Thomas Jr., one of the biggest busts from 2025. But as the Jacksonville Jaguars continue to bring in wide receivers throughout this upcoming season, I think it's just a crowded wide receiver room. You have the emergence of Parker Washington. You have Travis Hunter coming back from injury. You traded for Jacoby Myers and extended him. Brian Thomas Jr. would command like a late first-round pick or a second-round pick in return for trade capital, and I think you would be dumb not to take that up. You just you traded away your own first-round pick to get Travis Hunter. I don't know if that'll be a good deal, but in the sense that you need draft picks in order to keep this team young and stocked with talent for the next few years, you could get out of the BTJ market and send him to a team like New England or San Francisco and get one of those later round or later position first round picks, and then really trust your drafting skills and develop another guy on the defensive side of the ball or the O line to really help out Trevor Lawrence. But his chemistry with Lawrence just isn't really there, and I wouldn't be shocked if he wants a clean start himself. Maybe a reunion with Mac Jones wherever he goes, because they were just dominating when they were together. End of last season, I know he was winning other people fantasy championships, so hopefully he finds a new home in 2026 and can get back to that same dominance. But now at the top two, we got David Montgomery at the 2 spot from the Detroit Lions. The GM actually mentioned that they are looking for different opportunities for Monty, whether it's a trade or just kind of rekindling this offensive system to feature him more. However, I think the new OC is going to want to just use Jahmyr Gibbs as much as possible, and why would you not? This is kind of the main breakout year for running back as far as age and touches. So David Montgomery will command interest on the open market. Teams like Houston will be involved. I think he wants to be on a part of a winning team here, and he's great in a committee. So if you just get him on a team with another explosive back, maybe Seattle goes after him. They have a whole bunch of cap space. You pair him with Kenneth Walker, with Charbonnet missing time with the injury. I'm just suggesting things, but he's a great 1A, 1B running back, and any high caliber team should definitely be making the calls, especially in the running back market. You could probably get him for like a 6th round pick. So it'll be interesting to see where Monty goes this offseason. But before we get to number 1, I would really appreciate it if you guys hit the subscribe button. I know we're going to be pumping out a whole lot of content for the NFL draft as far as the offseason goes. But without further ado, let's get to A.J. Brown. Yes, the main discussion point of trades, probably the whole 2025 season. He voiced his displeasure with the OC, Nick Sirianni, all of the Eagles organization, Jalen Hurts. This would be just kind of made in the stars for him to get moved this 2026. I know it's a lot of dead cap, but he is kind of hurting the team morale of this Eagles offense, and maybe they just want a fresh start, even if it is costly to their own books. And he's obviously still very talented. A few crucial drops in the playoffs. However, he was very good this year, and when his opportunities are actually given to him, when he's targeted with the ball, he's still one of the best down the field threats. He can high point the ball unlike anyone else, and any team really could use a big body wide receiver 1. I think a relationship with Mike Vrabel to go back to his former head coach in New England makes way too much sense. And it would be a great fit for him going into 2026, clear those plates and get ready to be fed by Drake May, and really just kind of do what he loves and get him the ball a whole lot rather than this Eagles system that clearly wants to run the ball as their main identity. But something to watch out for this season, as well as the other 12 guys. And that's going to do it for our trade candidates. Like I said before, if you have time, I would really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. And that is going to do it. So, peace.